That's for Eric Bischoff's name, right? Oh, you guys can hear me. Damn. Oh my God, you guys so missed me. Oh man, you guys missed me. Um, good morning into good afternoon for Denisha. Um, Morning to everyone, and yeah, today is Bad Blood. We're gonna be doing maybe a shorter stream because I know that Bad Blood it starts at 6 and we're nowhere near 6 p.m. But I do want to say that you guys missed me, and I missed you guys too. We're just gonna go over like three things today, and then tomorrow we'll have a live stream. I promise, where we could be talking about more stuff. There's just like certain things I wanna get to today, and I'll put my camera on in a second. But anyway, how do you guys like my thumbnail? Because I think it's a really cool thumbnail. I've been wanting to talk about like New Japan for a bit. I did manage to see Destruction of Kobe. And I I really, 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 really want um New Japan to succeed, and I really want New Japan to climb back up on top of the mountain, and they were good when they didn't have the partnership with AEW. I'm just gonna say it like that. They were good when they did not have the partnership with AEW. I will say this though, that I will get into it. I will get into that a lot more. I did promise to talk a little bit about small streamers and content creators, even though it's like 5, maybe 8 days, 9 days now removed since I saw the video of, you know, of a content creator that was blaming and putting everybody in like one category of that, like, we got to stop uh complaining and begging and like all this kind of stuff, and think that we're owed something in the content creation space. And it's like you're in your bubble to be talking like that about content creators and small streamers, because we show up, even though like there is the 1% of people that end up like complaining, like so far complaining and being like, woe is me and whatnot. But there are different factors and different stuff, but like we show up for the most part. And if you don't think that we show up for the most part, then like you're in your bubble. um Now let me tell the whole world that I'm live. um but yeah, I wanted to like still talk about, small streamers and content creators, because it takes a toll on us, and people don't understand that it takes a toll on us mentally, because we as human beings and people alike, we created a bunch of stuff. So we could say that, content creation is like man-made. This is how we keep up with the times, because we have the internet, and how the internet serves as like a vessel to put your creative side out there, and sometimes people don't get it, because for so long we've been taught that there's only one way of like making money, there's one way of being happy, and there's, one way of this, one way of that. And it's like, no, not everybody enjoys doing what regular people do. Not to say that doing a regular job like, 9 to 5 is a bad thing. People just like different things. What up, Vortex? Welcome. It's the idea of that if we have so many options out there in the world, right? Why are we always trying to get pulled back into being a cog in the machine, and that makes you completely unhappy? Like, why is that a thing? I just don't understand. Why is that a thing? They say that you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want, you can make life how you want to make it, but at the same time, you have to be in this machine. You have to be a cog in this machine. If it's like very, very small, you have to help turn the wheel. And it's like, not everything is like that. So sometimes being a content creator, or even being just a straight out streamer, which is it's two different things, because if you're a streamer, you're just streaming. Sometimes you don't plan out your streams, like, you don't say to sit down that you're gonna end up like making this video or whatnot. You just want to go and just make streaming, um which is just like me right now. This is like streaming content. I can later on chop it up and call it like regular videos and call it a podcast, and I could do that. And that's how we've sort of created this big thing of content creation and all that. From the stuff that I remember from the video that we're not going to watch and me not going to react to it, I will say that it was a video about a big streamer that ended up talking about, should you go stream on, Kick and like Twitch, like watch this video before you kind of decide, kind of thing. And you know, at first I was just like, all right, what do you have to say? Because it's interesting. Because sometimes you know I might want to go back on Kick, but at the same time, it's like it's not as friendly as like it should be, you know. But if you want to go and try out Kick streaming, you can. It just feels like it's more of a grind to go to Kick, and it's more of a um I just don't want people to have a label slapped on them because of all the stupid shit that Kick does with the IRL streaming and stuff like that. But this little intro into like what we're doing here today is not meant to be like Kick is bad, go to Twitch, or Twitch is bad, go to Twitch, or even come here to YouTube. I'm finding success on YouTube. What I really wanted to like really get out there for like small streamers and content creators is that there are always going to be like bad apples everywhere. There's always going to be somebody that ends up being like, you know, being the bad person for like the whole entire group. And you're like, I'm not part of that. Well, this message is for you. You guys can continue to do content creation and streaming. No one's saying that you can't. Also, there was some other stuff in that video about like complaining and nobody owes you anything. And you got to put in the work, while also being hypocritical about like how to present your content to the world. So, for example, right, this was used in the video that you have to cater to your audience, but on the flip side, you have to be authentic. I'm gonna say that one more time. In that video, it goes, you have to cater to your audience. In brackets, it will be like, if you want to grow. And then on the flip side, you also have to be authentic. Well, that cancels each other out, because how can you be authentic if you have to cater to your audience in order for you to grow, in order for you to gain an audience to watch you? There are successful streamers out there and content creators that turn on the camera and are able to talk to, you know, the camera and the audience and show their authentic side and commentate on yo, LC Killer, what's up? Thank you for joining the stream in the chat. So these content creators also do social commentary on a bunch of various topics, and they're still being their authentic self, but they're not catering to a specific subsection of their audience. So basically, this content creator that I was watching was very hypocritical in the fact of telling small streamers that were watching his video that you have to cater to your audience while also being authentic. Like, that doesn't work. That doesn't really work, because you cannot be authentic while catering to your audience. You really can't, because if you cater to your audience, that means that you have to at least be somewhat fake about it. You have to at least somewhat, you know, make it until, you know, they realize that it's completely not true of you liking something. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I like, let's see, what I don't like. Um, I don't know why I want to use WWE 2K24 as an example. I say this all the time that like if I were to play WWE 2K24, like the buttons and me just don't match. But I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh my god, guys, let's, you know, play WWE 2K24 and like, you know, and I have someone else play it for me or something like that. Like, to cater to the WWE 2K game audience and get those viewers over here, I will be very, very inauthentic. And that's like the point that I'm trying to make with that. We should be watching the video, but I just really don't want to, because I realize that like just watching the other types of content that this guy does, it's more like he talks at the audience rather than with the audience, even if it's like a standalone video, and it just seemed very so in his own world and bubble. And then also to say that like Kick reaches out to various like streamers and whatnot, Kick never reached out to me. Kick never sent me an email to be like, hey, how's it going? We haven't seen you stream in a while. Like, are you okay? Like, do you not want to, is there anything that we can improve on? Like, I never got any of those emails. But they reach out to him. They reach out to, content creators on the Kick website that make them the most amount of money. So of course they're going to feel like they're welcome. But to say that, Kick is for small streamers it's technically not. No streaming service is catered to small streamers. I do think that here on YouTube, if you ever wanted to like start your YouTube channel, you should start your YouTube channel. You should do whatever you want to do. If you started now, you never know where like that journey can take you. And if you start now, there's nothing for you to lose, right? All you have to do is just figure out things as you like go on your journey. But I do think that YouTube is made for like smaller content creators, because you can focus on what you want to do and then you can also expand and stuff like that. But live streaming services such as like Twitch and Kick are not really for smaller streamers, content creators, because you do have to work a little bit harder than the rest in order to get some type of audience. Like you'll have to create a schedule where like you might stream for like maybe 2 days out of the week, be consistent for it, and then like go into other people's streams, chat with them genuinely, like you want to be their friend, and you might end up getting a crossover of their audience coming over to your live streams that are like 2 days a week, and that's how you grow. But you have to do the work a little bit more because you're not bringing in an audience to start with if you want to just jump on like Kick or Twitch. And then if you do jump on Kick, I don't know if people still do the follow for follow, but there's like a rise in bots on like both websites where it's like, hey, I'm a graphic designer, so like, let me help you out. And it's like, no, it's okay. And by the way, most people end up buying their views and buying the bots, and we know this, but it gets ignored all the time. And then if you as a content creator or a streamer are out there and you're feeling somewhat defeated and you're like, man, how can I get my stream to go further ahead? Well, the thing is that you are already further ahead than most because you're not taking the shortcut. Most people, like I said, buy their viewers and they buy their bots, and like it just doesn't add up because the chat is really dead, but you see that they have like 1,000 people watching them, but the chat is dead. And don't worry about them, because when you take shortcuts in anything that you do, it's gonna come crashing down like Rome. If you go the long way, and I know that that's not the most ideal thing to do, because like sometimes I don't really like going the long way because I do like to, cut here, cut there, have a little time, save some time and stuff like that. But for the most part, I can tell you that throughout my whole entire journey as being a content creator, behind the scenes, that started in 2015. And then in 2019, for me to break out and do my own thing for the wrestling side of stuff, like the journey has been fucking worth it. It has been worth it. That age-old tale of like, the tortoise versus the hare, and that, the slow tortoise always wins the race. It's worth it. So I would just say that if you are feeling stuck out there, if you're feeling like, you're not that far ahead and everybody else is further ahead, their empire is going to come crumbling down. Your empire is not, because you're just going to be steady. You're going to be on your way, and that's okay too. What else did this guy say in this video about it? I guess I could go back a little bit to the 1% of people. There are the 1% of people out there that end up basically like complaining on Twitter or on social media about like not growing, not doing this, that they're owed viewers, that they're owed like money from, viewers giving subs or whatnot. That is the 1% of people that end up streaming and they think they're going to get successful overnight because of who they watch and like what they see. And they want that fast, like admiration, which is the wrong word I'm using, but like, that's what we're going to go with. Like they want all of that super, super fast. They want all the high fives super, super fast. They want all the viewers super, super fast, but it doesn't happen that way. But to say that because there is a loud 1% section that always gets boasted or boosted on social media means that that's every small content creator, small streamer. No, that's what I took offense with on this video that I'm talking about, is because you cannot generalize content creators and streamers. Sometimes a content creator just wants to create content because they know that they have a different purpose in this life. They know that they have an artistic view of the world, and they know that through their videos they can help change lives, and they either do it for the money or they don't do it for the money, or they do it half and half, right? So like there are people in this world that know that they are beneficial to the ecosystem of what it means to be an artist, what it means to be a content creator, what it means to be a filmmaker, and post their stuff everywhere, even going live and stuff like that. And to say that like, you know, small streamers are bad, but at the same time, like this website is here for you guys and you guys are not owed anything and you guys need to go do the work. And guess what? Those small streamers are doing the work. Those content creators are doing the work. They are doing everything in their power, but sometimes the way that the market dictates who gets the spotlight is really, really unfair if you really think about it. If you're not on TikTok, then like, you know, you may not get that luck. But it is all about luck, man. It's about like, you know, playing the lottery and like trying to hit it. That's what it is. By the way, I do see everyone's chats. I just want to get this part out so that way we can like go to the other stuff in professional wrestling. It's just that this here was bothering me for a little while, because it's like, how can someone have a big, not really a big platform, you know what? I'll just say a decent platform, and just talk nonsense and say some information about small streamers and content creators, and then like try to, you know, tell his experience, but it's like you're not one of us. And I mean that as in like you're not here in the trenches with one of us. And to mention like the big guys like Mr. Beast, I hope you guys know that Mr. Beast is in a bunch of like allegations and lawsuits, and weird shit has been coming out from his camp. So I don't know why you would use him as like an example in your video of like Mr. Beast started with zero subs right here on YouTube, or that, you know, Kai Cenat started with like 0 subs and this person started with 0 subs. Those are the wrong kind of people to tell your audience to try to look up to them, for them to be like a mentor. The wrong kind of people in the content creation space and in the streamer space, because once people get money, they forget the roots of like where they came from, who they hang out with, and like the experiences growing up. They forget who they are, because money changes people, and the way that you view the world changes, because you may or may not at that point have to rely on you know, corporations, rules and regulations, and like all this kind of stuff. There are people on YouTube that I would be like, you should pay attention to how they do their you know, their content, because their content is kind of cool, it's kind of different. You want to be different, you want to stand out. Why do you want to be the next like Mr. Beast or the next big person? No, be you. Because the moment that you are being you is the moment that you'll find your community and you'll find your audience. And as a content creator and a small streamer, it is always best to have your best 100 people that show up, or your best 1,000 people that show up, because you know that they're going to be there with you and they're going to ride with you and whatnot. And other people are just going to be there for the fakeness of it. And then you can like weed them all out and they could just go. For this particular video, it was just a bunch of stuff that was very hypocritical. And I don't want content creators like finding the video, watching the video, and thinking like, you know, they did something wrong when in reality, we don't have this figured out. It looks like we have it figured out because numbers and metrics like tell a different kind of story. And as I say that, you know, this kind of relates to AEW anyway, that like, technically as content creators like myself and others who look at AEW, who look at the numbers, who talk about AEW, right? Technically we should be praising it. We should be saying that AEW is doing, pretty decent for themselves, because we're looking at like isolated numbers. We're looking at an isolated company. I'm not trying to compare it to WWE or whatnot. Like technically we should say that they're on the right track, even though their numbers keep going down and keep going up, but for the most part keep going down. Now I'm trying to remember how I was going to correlate that with what I was saying before. What do you call it? It's the idea that grounds both small streamers and content creators and AEW is that they're always going to have their fan base. They're always going to be there. That is the main point of what I'm trying to say. And that if any of this like helps you as a content creator or content streamer, just know that your audience is out there. You can make whatever content that you want. Just please, don't go and annoy people outside. Don't think that IRL streaming, that was another big thing that this guy was talking about IRL streaming. If you don't know what that is, it is in real life streaming. People have like go from 0 to 1,000 doing stupid shit, and like putting that online, because now online is the new way of watching like reality television, rather than like us creating reality television. Like who remembers like MTV Road Rules and like, all the stuff back in the 90s for you know reality television. I mean, we still have some like reality based television stuff, but it is scripted. But IRL streaming is probably not the way to go if you want to be respected and liked, and like have some type of ground and credibility in the content creation space and streaming space. And I'm not saying to discourage anybody from like doing IRL streaming, but just be smart about it. Don't be stupid about it. Don't go to people and like annoy them and get them on camera when they don't really want to be on camera. Like respect boundaries. But we just have like a respect issue in this country. So, I'm just saying that. But you can go out and document your life, and people will gravitate towards you, and people will make sure that like, they go out of their way to watch. Watching is completely free. Sharing is completely free. Telling your friend about the streamer / content creator that you're watching is completely free. All of that is free marketing. All of that is word of mouth. And that is how you grow. And that is just one of the ways to grow as a content creator. So it is possible to do that. Of course, we're all going to complain. Of course, we're all going to like, be frustrated at like where we're at on this imaginary race to be the best content creator and streamer out there. But I could just tell you that like those days are going to pass, and don't listen to people that want to be in their own bubble and that kind of sound very disingenuous when they want to help live streamers and content creators and tell you that, hey, watch this video before you make a decision on whether or not you want to stream on Twitch or stream on Kick or stream on YouTube. Like, you need to know in your heart of hearts what you want to do, what kind of content you want to do, what kind of audience you want to cultivate, because the kind of person that you are is what people are attracted to. And that's why people tend to would watch you, I should say. The way you act on your videos, on live streaming, is the way that people will come into your chat and stick with you, because they basically like, they're attracted to whatever personality you put out there. But yeah, it is up to you and what you guys want to do. I don't know what else I wanted to talk about from that video, because man, it was a lot of like putting content creators and streamers down just because the 1% complains about everything and anything and think that they're old stuff. But it's like that's the 1% of people in the corner that get their voices heard, while like all the rest of us are just naturally frustrated about this man-made thing that we created about going online, talking to people and trying to cultivate and try to make a living out of it. And it does get frustrating, like along the lines of it, because it's like you do everything for free. Like there should be like a payoff towards the end. Like in wrestling, there should always be a payoff. But you know, content creators are showing up. Content creators help, you know, push the world a little bit forward in terms of creativity. But yeah, that's all I have. If anybody out there wants to throw in some questions, some context, whatever the case may be, I know we're not watching the video to get like a conversation going, because I realized whew, after so many days, it's not really worth it. But it is kind of worth it to let people out there know that if you want to be a content creator, if you want to be a streamer, you're not going to get big overnight. It's going to take a while. I say a while because I cannot quantify, like, you know, the bulk of it, because I don't know what your goals are. I don't know what your intentions are. I don't know what you want to do. So generally speaking, it's going to take a while, but you're going to have fun on this journey if you decide to do it. I am having super, super fun doing the wrestling stuff and doing content creation, live streaming, being media press, making merch, you know, a lot of stuff. So I say go for it. Don't listen to people. Don't have people try to like put you down and then try to raise you up. Like what? No, just, you know, you can warn people about, you know, the dangers of like content creation and streaming on different sites and stuff like that, but also be open-minded to the fact that you got to let them choose, and how you present your perspective is also, you know, important, how you present it. Because no one is going to be thinking like you. But if you're talking to like everybody, that includes content creators and streamers, you got to present it in a way where it's like, look, this didn't work for me because of X, Y, and Z. And this is what I learned, and this is what you can learn. If it doesn't help you, then, you know, that's okay. You can listen to, you know, stuff like that. But I did see one comment up here from Lightsbane. Thank you for joining the chat. Thank you for joining us for this live stream. Cater to your audience while being authentic. It's AEW's mission statement, and that's why they're in the mess that they are. See, it works for it too. It definitely works for it. Like if you do content creation, do not cater to your audience. That is the inauthentic way to grow, is by doing that. LC Killer said NXT to take the win this week. Yep, they probably are. I do hope everyone is well as well. And yep, everyone is saying hi to Denisha. But yeah, if you guys, you know, I am so glad that you guys are just sticking around hearing me talk about content creators and stuff like that. You know, I hope that some of the stuff I said resonates with you. If it doesn't, that's totally fine. But if it does, awesome. But I wanted to let everybody know that they can definitely be what they want to be, and like definitely do what they want to do. It's just that, you know, we show up. We show up. And the only reason why I'm talking about it is because I still consider myself a small streamer, a small content creator. But I am loving the journey, and I'm doing the best that I can with my content and reaching out to people, networking with people, being very respectful with people, and just making connections. That's all it is making connections. It's basically who you know in the business, to basically get ahead of everybody else. But don't think that, like, you know, you have to get there overnight. Nah, you don't have to. But I do it because I'm a small streamer, but I don't really say it. But I am pretty small. But I just love being like this because it's a lot more wholesome and genuine when I talk to people and they're in my chat and everything like that. Yo, Dr. White Chocolate. See, I remembered. I had to take a pause. Welcome. Thank you for entering the chat and the stream. LC Killer says, I want to buy a Lamborghini and party with hot girls like Sweeney. I had to plug in my laptop. Sydney Sweeney. I mean, who doesn't want to be in a Lamborghini, man? Like, I would like to take pictures on a Lamborghini. Now that I wrapped up the first half of this portion of talking about content creators and like streamers, we could get into the big thing of like Eric Bischoff is completely 100% right about the AEW deal, and talk a little bit about this teaming up of Tanahashi and Kenny Omega from New Japan Pro Wrestling, man. I'm at this point I was gonna say I'm gonna take a quick break. I probably am, so that way I can like plug in my laptop, get my headphones, get some water. But again, if you guys want to throw in some comments in the chat about what I talked about with small streamers, by all means go ahead, because I gotta like, do some stuff. Give me a second. I would just like to say that I don't know whose idea it was yesterday. Um, I don't know whose idea was it yesterday to start streaming all at the same time. It's a good thing I did not go live yesterday, even though I was like, man, I kept telling them I was gonna go live, I was gonna go do this, I was gonna go do that. But instead, I decided to like, try and do the best that I can with all the content creation that I've been doing, and like put uploading it here, uploading it there. If you guys don't know, I have a newsletter, marieshadows.substack.com, where I haven't really posted much, and I haven't posted like the live streams as like podcast episodes, which I really need to do sometime this week or next week, because now Spotify has decided to change up how you can get paid as a podcaster. So with Spotify, before my podcast got like integrated with Spotify, it was anchor.fm, and anchor.fm, gave podcasters ad revenue, and I was able to get ad revenue from anchor.fm. But when Spotify bought out Anchor, we all had to switch over to Spotify, and I was still getting some ad revenue, but then they switched up the whole entire way of how to get ad revenue, to the point where I kind of gave up on the journey of trying to get ad revenue, because everything nowadays, in order to like make some type of income, if it's not like selling recipes or worksheets or digital marketing on like Etsy, where people make a lot of money, or even their own store, like digital marketing. If it's not digital marketing, if you're doing like the podcast creation, and if you're not putting out content daily by having like subpar interviews or subpar podcast episodes, you're not really seeing much. You're getting like pennies. That's the thing about content creation and streamers. Like, if someone is not donating like physical money, like $5 and up, you're getting paid in pennies when it comes to like ad revenue. So like I said, that on Spotify, there was one point where I was just like, giving up on it, because there was no way that I was going to get 100 unique listeners to my podcast called the Square Circle Podcast. I have my devout loyal disconnected and we reconnected. Oh my God. Okay. I swear, man. It's always something. Always something. But yeah, let me just make sure that we're good before I continue on saying what I'm going to be saying. Okay, I think we're back. The real money comes from supporters with subs and super chats versus ad revenue. You don't get literal pennies, and YouTube usually takes that to anyway. Oh, you do get. I read that wrong. Sorry. Yeah, so basically like I was saying, the real money comes from subs and whatnot. That is why I'm pushing to get into the YouTube partner program so I could just focus on the memberships and the super chats. And I created, a subscription base over on my Substack newsletter, and also a subscription model, a membership model over on Fourth Wall, and like merch and all of that. But I wanted to focus on like Spotify because again, like I don't think I was ever going to get like 100 unique listeners. And what does it mean when they say you need to get 100 unique listeners? It means that aside from your usual listening base, right? So I have currently like 69 followers on my follow list on my YouTube, on my Spotify podcast, Square Circle Podcast. Those 69 followers that usually listen to me year after year after year after year don't count towards your unique listeners. A unique listener will have to be one of their friends that tunes into your podcast episode that never heard you for the first time ever. It is basically, yes, Dr. White Chocolate here is definitely right. It's unique versus like reoccurring. If someone is a reoccurring listener, that does not count towards your unique listener goal. So the goal was 100, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna be able to get that. No matter if I try like cool stuff or try different type of marketing tactics or go on Reddit, which I no longer really go on Reddit like that, or anyway like that. So now they switched it. They switched it up to where, which I didn't even get the I did not even get what do you call it, the email about that. I was like, when did you guys decide to switch it up? I'm actually looking at my Spotify right now, so give me a second, because so now, in order to just get regular ads, right, where I can earn money with ads that are targeted to my show's audience, which is in the sports section, I would have to hit, well, this is how I can apply. I would have to hit 2,000 people who streamed on Spotify. So you would have to stream the Square Circle Podcast on Spotify, which would be amazing if you guys can do that. I need 2,000 people for that. And I also need to hit 10,000 consumption hours. I have 2 hours in the last 30 days. That's like, the equivalent to YouTube right here, where we have to get 3,000 hours in order to go into the YouTube partner program, which we're almost there. We are almost there. We're currently at 1848 in watch time hours. So we're almost there. And I can't thank you guys enough. And then the other one, to put subscriptions on, like this is to get paid for my show on a monthly basis. I would need to hit 100 people who streamed on Spotify. So if 100 people could stream this, I don't know, man. Like every time it comes to like subscriptions, it's like, I don't really get people for like subscribing and whatnot. And I wouldn't know what episodes to put behind a paywall, because I feel in my heart of heart that like the reason why I have the Square Circle Podcast to be free, including like the interviews, is because as much as it takes energy and time and like resources to create this stuff, and this is just me being very, very, very transparent with everybody, as much as it takes all that time, I do think that we should have a discussion around the topics that I choose to talk about. And if I put that behind a paywall, that means that people would have to pay for it, which is like, yay for me because I get money coming in. But it's only going to be the same circle of people. And then we created our own bubble for that. You know, like, I don't really want that. There's a reason why I keep my show on Spotify and the Square Circle podcast in general free for everyone to listen to. So that way we can have that discussion. We can talk about different kinds of topics and stuff like that. So, you know, but I just wanted to mention that because it's one of those things of like, when the hell did Spotify change their stuff up? Because it's like, I didn't get the memo. Like, I should have got the memo, but I didn't get the memo. But yeah, that's the reason why like I keep the Square Circle podcast like free. Now, the things that I do want to like monetize are stuff like the tape study series, Inside the Locker Room, where you get like behind the scenes conversations and talk about like locker room stuff. You know, I did the video on like Workhorse because there was that whole big conversation about like, this wrestler is a workhorse, that wrestler is a workhorse. All these wrestlers are workhorses, and like they're indie guys who just take match after match after match after match. And I'm like, well, how are they a workhorse if all they have are matches? Like, do you remember like all these matches? You probably don't. So it's like, you know, what is really truly a workhorse? And then I ask people like, you know, who's your workhorse? And I don't mean, well, if anybody was going to make a joke about the wrestler Warhorse, you know, I already saw it coming from a mile away. But, you know, I said that Seth Rollins was definitely the workhorse, where he had all the stuff that makes you a wrestler, the combination of storytelling, his unique special ring gear, even though that's like really low on the list. But then also like, you know, he basically goes out there and has match after match after match, but there's story in those matches, there's substance in those matches and stuff. So yeah, did this thing created another I wonder if it created like two, because that'd be stupid. Oh, and by the way, I want to say shout out and thank you to 600 people following me. Okay, no, so it didn't create two of them. Why am I getting an email saying that review your last like stream results and whatnot? But yeah, I wanted to go back to the original thing that I was gonna say is that I don't know whose idea it was for everybody to start streaming yesterday, meaning that Uncle Dave Metzler, was on a guest to talk with Conan on K100. And I actually tuned in for that. Why I tuned in for that, I don't know, but I thought it was pretty odd that Uncle Dave was on K100 talking about like, you know, ratings, AEW, the deal and stuff like that. And then like Pro Wrestling Times and his people, you know, went into chat and crashed the party. I was giggling about it because I was like, oh, that's pretty funny to me. Just because of like, you know, stuff that happens on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. If you guys want to put some flutes in chat, you guys can. Not trying to take his gimmick at all, but if you guys want to. The other thing too is that like, so Uncle Dave was on K100, and then Eric Bischoff decided to go live at 4 to talk about this whole thing that Uncle Dave was like, you know, Eric said this, Eric said that, and, you know, all these other, you know, people said this and said that AEW was never going to get a deal. And obviously that's not what happened. What happened is that if you keep talking about it, people are probably going to be sarcastic and be like, yeah, it's never going to happen. They're not going to reach a deal because it's taking too long. And that's like the train of thought when it comes to like trying to renew TV rights and network rights. And like, you notice how long it took And it's like, why did it take that long to finally put pen to paper? You know, Tony Khan was saying that he was a busy man between football and wrestling and like all this kind of stuff. So it's like, why did it take so long? And by the way, for the past like 3.5 years, right? That constant thing of that constant reminder of that they're going to Max, they're going to HBO Max, they're going to HBO Max, and they finally got it. I want to know more about that. Like, we need the wrestling media to ask Tony Khan like the really tough questions about like why it took so long to get a TV deal done. Like it doesn't really happen like this late in the season, or why did you want HBO Max for so long? Um LC Killer says that he wants the FBI to investigate Tony Khan's internet history, man. Like I don't know who wants to touch that. Warner Brothers had to donate a shit ton of cans to make AEW money. um Also, I think there is like a conflicting uh sorry, the only reason why I only got uh stumped is because while I was talking about Workhorse, someone had commented to me saying that the definitive work horse is Mr. Perfect. And I'm like, I don't know if this person is watching my live stream at the same time or they came across my video and they decided to comment, but like, chat, what do you think? Is Mr. Perfect the perfect example of like the definitive workhorse? Like, do we agree, disagree? Because I have no idea. Um, you saw Warhorse wrestle three bears in a bingo hall. Okay, but I'm talking about Workhorse. Am I saying Warhorse? I apologize if I am. The question is, do you guys agree or disagree with the definitive workhorse is Mr. Perfect? I can see Kurt up there for that. Okay, cool. I just want to know. That's all I want to know. I'm gonna give it a like and a heart for now, but I am like streaming. He is a true workhorse before the injury. I have I have no idea what injury he had. Um okay, so um but yeah, like there are conflicting reports about the AEW deal in general because the first set of tweets that I saw, it said that AEW was getting 150 million per year for their deal. Oh, back in the 90s? Okay. I will eventually look up like, a history on Mr. Perfect. I only know but so much. Uh but um in the first couple of tweets, I saw that they were getting 150 per year. And then for some reason it raised to 158. Or no, I'm sorry, 185? How, why, um what is the true number? Is it 150 or is it 185? Like, this is why we need legit uh sources and news places to report this kind of stuff, or Tony Khan himself holds like a mini little press conference and says it, from the horse's mouth of we signed a deal, it is X amount of money for X amount of years, and all this kind of shit. Like, this is why you don't give it out to the wrestling media, because the wrestling media is all about themselves. The AEW Warner Bros. Discovery deal is still doo-doo because over half that money is to pay salaries. And these smutty fans count that as profit when that's just the budget. They don't understand This is why they don't run businesses. And if they did run businesses, they will all fail. They will all like be bankrupt. Because they don't understand it and they don't want to understand. Um, I understand this stuff to a certain degree. And then this is why I listened to Eric Bischoff, because Eric Bischoff was on the front lines of how to negotiate contracts for TV and network deals. Like, why wouldn't you want to listen to him? Like, I would definitely listen to him. And listening to him yesterday, I was like, oh my God, those are really good questions. That I think that I should find the video. We should get into it now. But yeah, like that money in, like, if you really think about it, it may not be enough to make sure that the guaranteed contracts of Will Ospreay, Mercedes Moné, and any other like high paying contract, that may not be enough to pay their contract. Hey Gio, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. I tend to believe Variety and SBJ, who are legit news sources. I do too from time to time, to be like, I'll give a head nod to Variety. I'll give a head nod to them. The fans pooping EB is the same as the wrestlers. They're pooping the veterans they could be learning from, instead of thinking their farts don't smell. That is a lot. That's a lot, sir. That's a lot. that is a lot. But yeah, you're totally right, dude. Totally right. Let me go and let me find the video, right? Is this the one that I was watching yesterday? Hold on. Let me make sure that you guys can hear it. I hope that this is the video that I was watching yesterday. Okay, yeah. This is the video that I was watching yesterday. My reason why people are not listening to Bischoff is because people still blame him. Oh my God, dude, they always blame him for WCW failing. Like, listen, people are gonna fail like all the time, right? So like, what are you gonna do with that failure? You're gonna try to turn it into a positive and be like, hey, well, these were my mistakes. We know the mistakes. Like, I don't understand why people just want to continue to punch down on Eric, if I could say it that way. Like, I don't understand this constant need to remind him that he failed at this. He killed WCW. He was bad in TNA. Like, you know, people act like they are angels, and that if they were given the same situation, the same resources as Eric Bischoff, that like they you know, something bad wouldn't happen, you know, while they were doing the same fucking job. It makes no sense to keep telling Eric Bischoff and to keep telling Vince Russo and to keep telling Jim Cornette that like they're all failures in the wrestling business, but people still go to them to be like, hey, how can I do this? How can I improve here? How can I, you know, do this and that? You know, there's a lot of people with a lot of skeletons in their closet, and people still go to them for advice. Even though I don't know, like, you know, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to go back to the beginning of this whole entire stream, that like, if you ever want to be a streamer, you have to deal with OBS. You have to deal with like your internet going in and out. You have to deal with like reconnecting, to disconnecting to reconnecting again. Like, listen, if you want that streamer life, shit happens on the fly. You just got to go with it. Because I am getting a little annoyed that this thing keeps doing that shit. Okay. You learn best from people who fail because they learn when they did wrong the first time. Yes. You got attacked by the cult for saying that this wasn't the deal AEW was looking for, but it was the only one that they could get, which is true. It is 100% true that what Gio said in chat. 100% true, and I still think that, like, because we have Uncle Dave, and because we have other people in the wrestling media space who are very dishonest with the audience. They're always dishonest with the audience. And their fan base, and their fan base can't see it. They hyped up this deal so much that everyone convinced everyone else that don't know shit that AEW was gonna get the most profitable deal there is. And then when it actually came time to reveal what happened, everybody's gonna get upset at somebody because it didn't come true. This is the same way of thinking when fans book the wrestling shows in their minds and tell people on Twitter and on social media that this is gonna happen because I know it is. And then when it doesn't happen, everybody gets upset. So it's the same kind of concept of what Gio was saying, that like he told a bunch of people that like this wasn't the deal AEW wanted, whether or not that is true or not. But the idea of that everybody in the media realm that like to perpetuate the bad apples in the IWC, and you know who they are, but for some reason the IWC loves misery and they want the company, so they're going to boast and argue with people who don't know shit about the business, who don't know shit about closing a deal for network television shows and like network stuff, but they're gonna go and say stuff out their ass, and then when it doesn't come true about, you know, AEW getting the biggest contract there is, they're gonna get upset at people who are like, yo, we could see the writing on the wall that like this is not gonna come out the way it's supposed to. Uh, yeah, I mean, but see, here's the thing though, that like the whole thing of people losing their jobs, wrestlers are always gonna have a job one way or another, you know. Uh, we have to really talk about something, is that like there are other avenues of being a wrestler. If all they think about is wrestling 24/7 and do not invest in the hobbies that they love, the plan B's that, you know, they basically want to do in life, then they're gonna have a hard time trying to find something else. And I'm not saying that like if a wrestler loses their job, they should go into the workforce if that's like not what they want to do. But wrestlers have streaming. If wrestlers are passionate about cooking, turn to cooking, learn from good people who do cooking videos. If you guys want some tips on that, like I can like send you stuff. You know, try to find your second passion and not just be a wrestler for the sake of being a wrestler. There are so many options out there to continue to get money. It may not be like wrestling money or company money, but you know, this idea of that, if for example, Gio, I'm going to use you as an example. I'm so sorry. But, you know, for an example, since Gio mentioned in the chat that he got attacked by the AEW sickos for saying that this isn't a deal that they wanted, I bet you there were some people that were like, oh, you know, you just want AEW to die and that, you know, you want people to lose their jobs. People are very resourceful. We are all resourceful. We find a way to survive one way or another, you know. So it's one of those things of like, if a wrestler loses their job, they know how to survive. They're not um, they're not stupid. Um, Even though like, they probably been like hit over their head so much, but they're not really like stupid. You know what I mean? Like they know how to survive. So I think that talking point of like if wrestlers lose their job because people want AEW to die, like wrestlers know how to bounce back. Wrestlers should be practicing like how to network with people, how to email people, how to like continue to be in the loop of things in order to still get money coming in. They could do streaming, they could do like cooking, they could still go into fitness and like talk about their fitness goals and aspirations and be like, this works for me. If it doesn't work for you, that's totally fine. If they want to go play a sport, like, if they're into basketball, if they're into like tennis, do a short live stream of that, show wrestling fans that there's a different side while you're trying to work and try to get another contract for another company. If you're able to bring an audience with you, you will survive somewhere else. So it does not matter if like, these people lose their jobs or not. It's about how smart you are and like who you know and how you're connected with people. Um, didn't mean to go on a little rant. It's just that people are not. I don't know why I can't figure out the wording for what I want to say. I will say it this way: people are resourceful. I will say it that way. People are resourceful. I don't know why I couldn't say it the other way. Um, Notice they aren't talking about a Fox deal anymore, eh? They happy with the first binky they get to suck on. Oh my god, sir. uh yeah, I saw that they lost Collision. If Warner Bros. Discovery kept NBA, Warner Bros. Discovery will give AEW the boot. No one thought about that. Female wrestlers were starting OnlyFans. Listen, listen. I I am all for how you want to make your money, whether that's like OnlyFans or Fansly. And by the way, I will personally pick Fansly just because I OnlyFans is the only website that I have legit read the terms and services for. And at any point in time, I don't know if they changed it since like I read it, but in any point in time, if OnlyFans goes down, they will be able to take all of your content. Like it's not for you, unless they changed it. Like you don't own the content. I would say to choose like Fansly because Fansly is here in the United States. Um, OnlyFans may have like a division of like lawyers and legal stuff for like United States, but the last time that I checked and read completely the terms and services, like OnlyFans like got started in the UK. So like, you know, everyone is going to OnlyFans, but I'm just saying that like Fansly, if you want to be more secured in America and know that and like know that you know the rights in America, I would just choose Fansly. I'm just saying. But you guys can make your money however you want to make your money. Um, whether that's like starting an OnlyFans, starting a Fansly, doing cooking shows, doing whatever it is. But yeah, I just want to finally say that. All right, let's watch this.
Hello, everybody.
Everybody in chat, say what's up to Eric Bischoff, even though we're watching his video.
You ready to have some fun? Because I am. And I think you will too.
God, he sounds like a fucking villain. I fucking love this guy. But he sounds like a villain that you just want to watch and be like, "Eric, what are you doing today? Eric, how you going to start some shit, right? Like, yo, like Eric, like let's go, man. Like, I already watched this, but we're going to watch it together. We're going to talk about it. We're going to ask some more questions. But I really do like villain Eric. Like who doesn't like villain Eric?
It's going to be a little bit of a different show. Usually when I do these pop up Wise Choices show, I've got something on my mind, and half the time it's a rant, go off on a tangent. Some of it makes sense, most of it doesn't, but I always feel better when I'm done. So I do them more for me than anything else. But
I could relate to that. I could definitely relate to that.
this is a little different, and I'm going to take a little different approach to this one. Now, if you've been following social media, post announcement of the AEW Warner Brothers deal, you might notice that a lot of AEW fans, led by Dave Meltzer, have are just basking in the glow. It's like they've been validated. And the need for that validation, which usually comes from people who are incredibly insecure and desperately need that validation to feel like they're part of something. And the harder they try, the more desperate they appear. And Dave is like the king. And so when the announcement finally came, after I don't know how long it's been, they've been telling us it's imminent and the deal is going to be announced for, I don't know, year and a half, 2 years. I don't even know. And of course, we've been commenting on that along the way. And I did make a comment, and we're going to show you the clip so you can hear and see exactly what I said. But what's interesting is, despite what I said, Dave Meltzer, in his desperate need for validation, and part of it I understand. First of all, he's a funky looking little dude anyway. Perfect radio face. He should never see
Wow.
the front. He should never see the green light of a camera, and that's not
Wow.
his fault. Just it is what it is. But when I saw him on his YouTube, he calls it a radio show. I don't know if it's a radio show or a YouTube show or what the fuck it is, but he calls it radio. And just watched him calling out people like me, podcasters, referring to us as dipshits. And he said, he's been telling us all along that this deal is going to get done and it's going to make them profitable. And he warned us we were going to look stupid, and on and on and on and on. And again, that's Dave's need to be right.
Yep.
And the reason I understand it so much is because Dave is wrong so often and has been proven to be such a prolific liar. And it's not just me doing it. It's not just Bruce Pritchard doing it. It's not just Jim Cornette doing it. The general audience for wrestling are doing it on a daily basis. The man has zero credibility. He positions himself as a journalist. And that's one of the things I want to keep in mind here. It's one of my big bitches with Dave, is positioning himself as a journalist. And
Did Eric just say one of his big uh bitches? Did I hear that right? Yo, G Coalition, what's up? Yo, you should stay for the New Japan portion because I would like your takes when we get to the New Japan portion after this. I think I heard Eric called him like a bitch.
having that credibility, but yet acting like a surrogate advocate, little baby brother to Tony Khan with regard to his reporting on AEW. But let's get back to the point at hand. The point at hand is I did a podcast recently, and we're going to listen to the clip together. It's only 3 minutes. I'm not going to drag you through the whole show. The relevant 3 minutes are easy to understand. And then we're going to go to the clip, or the thumbnail as it's referred to in the social media world. And we're going to discuss that. And I'm going to bring in Ant Evans, who is our Sherpa Guidesman here at 83 Weeks, and the man who is helping us navigate
Okay, so he did say that's one of my big bitches. Okay, got it. I was like, what? I was like, yo.
YouTube, and who is really responsible for an explosive growth in our YouTube audience over the last 10 or 12 months. Less than that, actually. So we're going to get to all that. But before I bring Ant in, Super Dave, could you run that 3 minute clip where everybody can hear and see what I exactly said so that when we show the thumbnail and Dave's response, it all kind of makes sense?
So listen, we do want to talk about this TV deal. You know, there's been a report out that they're getting really, really close, and Tony Khan had this to say: "This is the most important and exciting time in AEW's history. In addition to what's happening in the ring, there are so many exciting things happening behind the scenes at AEW right now. We're on the verge of the most important announcements in the history of AEW. There are multiple aspects. The arrival of those announcements is imminent. We'll have big news that could come at any time. Isn't that the best kind of wrestling surprise when you know something is coming and you want it and it's exciting, but you're not sure when it's going to happen? You have that feeling that it's going to happen. And in this case, I have more than a feeling, to paraphrase Boston. I've been working on this for a long time. We have a great team here. The future of AEW is very bright." And of course, a lot of people are taking this to mean he's talking about the TV deal, perhaps the Australia deal, and the Dallas deal. There's been a lot of discussion, and you've been talking a little bit about it on your YouTube channel at 83weeks.com with your program Wise Choices.
For me, I don't consider um the Australia thing for Grand Slam to be a deal, and I do not consider the Dallas arena that they got booked to be a deal. Like, I don't consider those deals. I think he was just mainly talking about like the TV deal, because Tony Khan likes to talk in circles. Tony Khan likes to just say shit out of his ass before, anything else. Like, gives us the same kind of like um conversation and the same talking points. And this is before the AEW deal got announced and put everywhere.
What do you make of this tease about the new TV deal, Eric?
It's the same thing. How long have we been hearing about this? I mean, I watched a clip yesterday, I think, on social media where Jay Meltzer and Brian Alvarez are on their radio show.
Oh, not this again.
Jay Meltzer
basically saying the deal is done. It's going to be announced.
Why does this do this? I swear, man. If you guys ever want to be a streamer or a content creator, like, man, give me a second here, guys. I don't even know what. No.
It's imminent. It's going to be announced at the upfronts. Just clear as a bell. Like he had the information. Dave did his thorough research because he's a journalist and all. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit. That's what I mean. I can't believe anything. I don't think that Tony Khan is intentionally misleading people. And there's a fine line between great promotion and.
Hey, Raheem, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live stream.
Misleading, right? You got to be careful. But again, it's the boy that has cried wolf so many times and failed to show up with even a poodle, a puppy. You can only cry wolf so many times and then show up with stray dogs and expect people to get excited about your shit. That's the Bill Goldberg was talking about the similarities between Tony Khan and Dixie Carter, and Bill hasn't really worked with either one of them, but you don't have to spend a lot of time with either one of them to know what motivates them, and it's attention. That's the one thing that Dixie Carter and Tony Khan really have in common, and it's a dominant part of their personality, at least when they're in their wrestling environment, is the need for attention supersedes the need for logic. So whatever TV. Look, I think they'll probably get one. I've never been of the mindset that they're done. They're never going to get another TV deal with Warner Brothers. I've never ever said that. I challenge anybody to find even a clip of me saying something like that within the context of the conversation, because I've never said that.
Why do people attribute that to you? Because anytime this conversation comes up, I see a lot of people tagging you like, what will Eric say then after he said it's never coming? And I'm thinking, I'm pretty sure I did most of these shows with you, and I never remember you saying that.
No, I've never said it. Dave Meltzer has said that I've said it.
But you didn't.
But no, I never have. So that was relevant portion of the clip that Dave has been referring to in his desperate need for validation and trying to hold on to whatever's left of the credibility that's been absolutely trashed over the last several years because of podcasters like me and Bruce Pritchard and Jim Cornette and many, many others, as well as, the tens of thousands or more of people on social media. So with that being said, let me bring in the Sherpa Guidesman, the man who is leading the charge in our takeover of the YouTube. Well, I don't know if it's a takeover, but you know what I'm saying. Ant Evans, man, how are you today, man?
How you doing, Eric?
I'm
Fun day on Twitter today.
Oh, it's been fun, and it's going to get a lot more fun because the last couple of days I've been really busy. I've had another major distraction in my life, a really, really good one, but as a result, I haven't really spent in the last 24, 36 hours much time on social media until this morning when I got a phone call and Conrad said, "Man, this is getting out of control. What do we want to do about this?" And I thought, he brought me up to speed. I looked at a couple things. I thought, I know what we do with this. We have fun with it because that's what
Pretty
we
much
do here in Wise Choices. That saying, controversy creates opportunity. And that's what this is. This is an opportunity to clarify all this nonsense and really highlight what I think is some of the things that are wrong with the way things are reported in social media. Right. That being said, let's give everybody a little bit of a lesson just in the process of how these thumbnails that, in fact, hold on. Give us a little bit of an idea of how the process works. When I do a podcast with Conrad, walk us through the steps that lead us to a thumbnail and then a clip.
Sure. So after you guys finish your entire show, obviously sometimes it's an hour and 45.
Listen carefully, especially if you're watching this on the VOD. Listen carefully.
2 hours, 3 hours sometimes, and it's hard to come up with a thumbnail and then a title, which is the text you see immediately below the thumbnail, and then underneath there's a description, or some people call it metadata. For a 3-hour show, you guys get through a lot, and there's some great quotes in there. There's some fun. You think, Christ, now how do I encapsulate in one thumbnail? And on thumbnails, you can only really have 3 or 4 words before the algorithm will not reward you for any more. I've seen thumbnails of like 17 words. It's like, it's terrible. So I try and think of, well, okay, what's the juiciest thing that somebody will, who didn't see this when we premiered it, will click on. And then for the clips, me and Super Dave Super Dave will go through and say, okay, these are the 4 or 5 or 6 best clips. And then what we'll do is, the book stops with me, is we'll come up with a thumbnail and a title and description for that specific part of the show. Now, I'm going to repeat my apology to you that I said off air. It was this kind of controversy is kind of on me because I'm the one who put, Eric Bischoff, there is no deal in quotation marks. You didn't say there is no deal full stop. What you were saying is that clip clearly showed is that you didn't think it was imminent. Now, I'm not going to try and lawyer myself here and say, well, the time I put that title, it was accurate, but it was. But the job of a thumbnail is to see if you can get people to click immediately. Most people on YouTube, 60% plus, will make a decision whether they're going to give a video a shot and just from the thumbnail alone. Some people need a little bit more detail, a little bit like back in the, you and I are a little older, Eric. We used to go down to get a VHS, or we used to go to Blockbuster to get like a DVD. You might, oh, that sounds cool. Zombie apocalypse, I'll get it. Well, some people might flip it over and see who was in it, see what the plot might be, the description. Well, that's when I come up with a title and then a description. And the title, was the title. And again, I shouldn't have put it in quotation marks. I should have left those out. But the description immediately below that is Eric Bischoff believes AEW will get a TV deal, but he doesn't believe it's anytime soon. And it wasn't. It was, it wasn't imminent. It wasn't immediate. It was 56 days after Tony Khan gave that interview on the Brian Kenzie show.
Yeah, and not to interrupt you, but we're dealing in many ways with some really smart people who follow us here. We've got literally, I'm not kidding you, rocket scientists who follow us here on YouTube. One of them has become a friend of mine. I mean, this is a legitimate, like Elon Musk type guy. We've got doctors, we've got lawyers who have argued cases in front of the Supreme Court. So when I make this statement, it certainly doesn't apply to everybody. But when you talk about social media and the people that are the loudest and most active, typically there's just not a lot of thought process going on. They're more, I refer to it as bumper sticker mentality, because if you can't fit it on a bumper sticker, they can't figure it out.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot of those too. So imminent for you people that have a hard time understanding concepts and don't read much, don't get out of the house much. Imminent suggests like momentarily, maybe within a day or two. I don't think there's a definition. Perhaps there is, and I don't know it. But imminent at least implies in the absolute near term.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is.
I knew it. I totally forgot to turn on my mic. Okay. I'm going to pause it there because I'm going to be flexing my degree in creative writing, and we go through English classes, and Ant had said that he probably should not have put quotation marks around, like, AEW is not going to get the deal, like however long he put the quotation marks. And I'm going to say that if Ant ever watches this, bro, leave it, because smart people who paid attention in English classes and who are writers, we understand why you would use the quotation marks. And the quotation marks are basically, because it was mentioned that Eric didn't say that straight right. Didn't say it like straight right out. Why am I messing up on these like phrases? But if he didn't really say it, then we know the quotation marks are not to like identify like exactly what he said, but we can also use it for, to signify alleged stuff and even to show wordplay, right? Because that is what Ant was doing for the thumbnail to get people to watch. Now, could it be, could we say that it was clickbait? Probably we could say that it's clickbait. But who doesn't clickbait on YouTube? Everybody clickbaits. Everybody clickbaits. So, if you guys don't know, the word allege, right, is if it's to be alleged, I think this is the right one, right?
Allege.
Okay. So, it's a claim or assert that someone has done something illegal or wrong, typically without proof that this is the case. And then, be alleged, suppose or affirm to be the case, right? So Dave Metzler does that all the time, and like the wrestling media does that all the time when they keep saying that, like, the AEW deal is imminent, the AEW deal is going to be dropping, the AEW deal this, the AEW deal that. They're basically claiming something without any kind of proof, but to keep you in the loop and to keep you sort of like, oh my God, when is this going to happen? Oh my God, I heard this. Oh my God, I heard that. But you are alleging, you are claiming stuff without proof to even back it up. So I would just say that, like, it's totally fine what they did. It's just that the internet tends to go from 0 to 100 when they don't understand simple English and ways of how we use words and how we string words together and stuff like that. There is no deal. 56 days before there was a deal is in fact accurate. He could have been cheeky when he was doing that, though, but accurate as in, like, I would go the route of, the reason why somebody would say that there is no deal is because it took forever. It took forever, and we're so late in the season of when everybody else announces their TV deals, their like network deals, and like what that entails. Like WWE was like on it. WWE was like, yo, we're going to Netflix. Like, I don't know about you guys, but we're sitting pretty. AEW waited until like October, right before 2025, to be like, oh, here's the deal. So if somebody in quotation marks were to be like, there is no deal, they're just being cheeky at that point, and it kind of feels like there wasn't going to be a deal. I'm gonna repeat that again. It felt like there wasn't going to be a deal because of how long they took to tell the world that they finally got a deal. That is why somebody would say there is no deal. It may not happen, but for Uncle Dave to be like, everybody is wrong except for him. It's like, dude, you got to learn how speech works with people, and tones and inflections in their voices and their words and how they're using their words, because it's not always just like black and white. It's not always just like straight all the way through. It's like we all have these different thoughts, perspectives, even some like sarcasticness and throwing this in there and stuff like that. But just to get back on the topic, like, you can leave quotation marks. You can do all of that. It's totally fine. It's part of the English language, and it's part of, freedom of speech. And if you want to be clickbaity, you could be clickbaity. It's totally fine. But I just wanted to add my 2 cents in there, my college degree in there about like the English language, and that how quotation marks can be interpreted. If we're not doing like Eric said, comma, open quotation marks, blah, 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 period, close quotation marks. Like, that will be signifying that Eric indeed said blah, 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 But if there are quotation marks around, there is no AEW deal, then they're just being, like, cheeky and, signify like alleged stuff and like wordplay, because again, alleged means that there were a lot of claims from everybody in the wrestling world and in the wrestling media, Uncle Dave included, that were talking, I'm going to say just talking out their ass, even though like we know the deal, what it is already. But back then, like, always telling us that like it's intimate. And if someone says that something is intimate, that means that it should be done, and it should be right around the corner, and it should be released, right? If they want to release it to the public. But if you're going to say that this is intimate, and nothing is happening, then you're claiming something that you don't have proof. Or you did have proof, but you didn't want to say it at the time because they were telling you not to say it, but you continue to hype up the fact that this deal is going to be the best thing ever. This deal is going to be great. Everybody's going to get paid. Everyone is going to like, do all this kind of shit. That is what we're trying to get at. That is what we're trying to explain with this whole entire bullshit. AEW was hoping to get more from Warner Bros. Discovery, and when that didn't happen, they waited for the exclusionary window to pass to hit the open market. They got no offers. They had to take this deal. That was also the possibility too. I remember like stuff about that too. But then again, it's like, why are the people like, how are they even breaking these this news, That is cheeky wordplay. It works because it's factually true at present time, while implying it will remain true for longer than people believe. Bam. G Coalition. Exactly. But yeah, YouTube is all about who could be the best entertaining person, live stream, video, like who could be the most entertaining, who could get the most clicks. And I would just say, continue to do what you guys do over at Wise Choices, Eric Bischoff and Ant. Like, there's no reason to change up or feel bad that you put quotation marks in a thumbnail that is supposed to get me to watch. I mean, I'm going to watch 83 weeks no matter what, but I'm just saying that, like, for anybody out there that's scrolling, the point of the thumbnail is to get people to watch. Like, for example, let me just take this off and this off, right? All right, chat. And also people on the VOD, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you like this thumbnail? Like, would you not click on this thumbnail? This thumbnail probably has a very good like click-through rate because we have Tony Khan on, his head is on a TV. There's Warner Brothers Discovery, because that's what we're talking about. There goes my reaction face down there. There goes Kenny Omega and Tanahashi, two people that I would have never thought that we were gonna, combine together to form a tag team. Maybe, I don't know. We'll talk about it in a little bit. To take on the Young Bucks. And, I was having a little bit of a harder time trying to create a thumbnail, but like, this is the thumbnail I came up with just for what I wanted to do today. But this is something that like we all talk about. Well, I can't say we all talk about. I don't know why I said that, but I mean more like, people would click on it. So YouTube has always been like clickbaity. So Ant should not feel bad.
This is when people don't have they can't say the substance of what anyone says is wrong. So they're like become grammar Nazis. Well, you didn't capitalize that. I mean, technically, when Tony Khan said it's any day now. I mean, yeah. I mean, any day could be in 1,000 years' time. That would be a day. So technically, you're not wrong. But we know what he meant. He meant it was any day. Like it could be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but it's in the next few days. We know what he meant when he said that, and in fact, it was almost 60 days after that. And if you want to go back, the first time he started talking about this deal was February 8th of last year, 2023.
Yeah, and I think Dave Meltzer was chiming in saying it's going to be a
Damn, a year ago we were talking about this deal, man, and this is what they got. This is all they got. That's sad. When you started talking about, well, I should say when Tony Khan started talking about it a year ago, and then like now it's been finalized, and that's all they got. And yet AEW fans and the Sickle fan base are like, yeah, this is a win for us. It's really not, if you really think about it. Like, it's not really a win for you guys. It really isn't, because if Tony started talking about this deal February of 2023 and it's already October, 2024, and the deal is 150 million or 185 million, and Collision is gone. There's only Rampage, and there's AEW Dynamite, and then there's like AEW Shockwave, and then pay-per-views are half off on the HBO Max subscription. Like, that's not a win. Why, if people have, I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but excuse me, if people have HBO Max, a subscription to HBO Max, why do they still have to pay for a pay-per-view? Why is it not included in the service? The same way that Peacock has WWE and the PLEs, and that is included in the 99 cents tier. Why would anybody want to pay half the price for a AEW pay-per-view on a streaming service that they already pay monthly for? That makes no sense. That does not help anybody's pockets, because we're across the board. We are broke. That doesn't help no one's pockets at all. No one's budget is helped at that very moment. I don't even know what else is in that deal, but like, they go live every Wednesday, which is nothing new. You notice how Rampage is not going to be live, which is kind of sad. That's hurting them. And then I don't know what's going to happen with Shockwave. What else is in that deal other than like Max? They got paid 150 million to 185 million. Yeah, but like, why would you still want to pay? There's something with Triller as well. I don't remember what it was, but it's still like, you shouldn't be paying more while on top of a subscription. But I can only think that this is happening that way because AEW still needs money from the pay-per-view buys, which is sad.
$1 billion deal. I mean, the numbers that Dave
Yeah,
was
that $1 billion
just
deal. Yeah, AEW sickles. What happened to that $1 billion deal? If anybody follows what's been happening over the past like 6 months, And the fact that the news got out that Warner Brothers Discovery lost $9 million or $9 billion, whichever one it is, how the fuck did you think that AEW was going to get $1 billion on their contract if Warner Brothers Discovery was like, we lost $9 million? How the fuck did we lose $9 million? Like, how are they going to give $1 billion to AEW? I need an AEW sickle fan to explain that to me, either in the comments or on the VOD. Let me know how that was ever going to happen.
Completely. I mean, it was humorous at that point. It was funny.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, even the $1 billion. I mean, look, I was it wrong to put a headline in early July that Donald Trump is well ahead of Joe Biden? Is going to trounce him? Yes. Is it accurate now? No, because Biden's not even in the race now. But you don't retroactively go back and say, what are you talking about? Joe Biden's not even the nominee. I'm like, what are we doing here? So even like Dave Meltzer's a buddy of mine, but like when he was saying $1 billion, that was when AEW was having 500, 600,000 more viewers. Maybe if they cut the deal that day, maybe $1 billion would be more.
I'm not even buying that, brother.
Okay.
Because he's a buddy. That shit won't fly on this boat. It ain't going to happen here. So let's stay focused a little bit.
You think Tony Khan and his family are paying the bill? Are you talking about like the contracts that are supposed to be guaranteed as the bill, or like paying the bill for being on like HBO Max? Like, what specifically do you mean by paying the bill?
So everybody has just heard my commentary. You've described the thumbnail process, including the caption underneath that says right there in front of you, I believe that there will be a deal, likely be a deal. I never have ever said, and you muckerfuckers that are dying to doubt me and prove me wrong, you bitches saddle up your horse. There's 600 freaking hours of my stuff available to you. I challenge any of you to find a clip within context of me saying they won't get a deal. I'll fly you out to Wyoming first class and buy you a beer. But the truth is, I ain't going to have to put up with any of you dumb son of a...
Triller gets all the AEW pay-per-views from 2018 to the end of this year. Oh, that's what happened. Okay, cool.
Bitches, because you're never going to find it. It's never been said. I have always taken the position. In fact, even back when I was doing Strictly Business with John Alba, the subject came up quite a bit. And we discussed it quite a bit back when these conversations first started percolating. And I told John, I think in all likelihood, they will get a new deal because wrestling is, relatively speaking, always has been and certainly is now, very, very inexpensive programming and content with relation to the other options.
I just realized, hold on.
So
I just realized that my camera is off. I hate this. Okay, hold on. Are we still back? Okay, we're still here. My camera. Because of course, my camera. I don't understand how my camera got turned off. Like, I didn't even touch it. Like, it ends up being sensitive and whatnot. Okay, that's a first. Okay. Is it gonna do this for the rest of the video that I'm not gonna be able to turn it back on? Because this thing wants to act up. All right, give me a second, because there's no way that I'm going to restart the stream just to get my camera to work. All right, so I think now it might end up working. The stuff we do as streamers and content creators. There we go.
The idea that Dave Meltzer, you fucking clown, or anybody else would try to put the words in my mouth to suggest that I've taken a position subconsciously, consciously, verbally, or otherwise, that AEW will never get a deal is lying to their audience, and they're lying to themselves because of their desperate need for validation and credibility, because it never fucking happened. That's it. People, you've heard the clip. You've heard the explanation of the thumbnail. Now, here's where I'm going to take some responsibility. And I very much appreciate you manning up, because most people don't. Most people are trying to avoid subjects like this or fade the heat and blame it on somebody else. You took responsibility. But guess what? The real responsibility is right here, because it's my freaking show. It's got my name on it. And if there's anybody who dropped the ball on this issue, it would be me. That being said, after having now seen the thumbnail, knowing the context of what I said and what was in the clip that it was attached to, I'm not sure I would have flagged it, because it was all bullshit. It's happening imminently. Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez, a little twit, talking about, it's going to get announced at the upfronts. One of the upfronts, I think back in May, didn't get announced then either, people. You said it would. You're a journalist. You didn't say it may. You didn't say it has been reported or suggested. You said it will be. You lied to your audience, Dave. You're a con artist. You're a fraud. You're everything you accuse other people to be, because that's what people like Dave Meltzer do. They project their inadequacies and their failures and their insufficiencies in life, generally speaking, on everybody else around them, so you don't put it on them. It's unbelievable. And this is a perfect example of what I've been saying, what Jim Cornette's been saying, what Bruce Pritchard's
Everybody's been saying.
Just about anybody that's really knowledgeable in the wrestling business has been saying all along, is that Dave Meltzer is full of shit. He makes stuff up.
We see it all the time.
This is a perfect and fun example. I'm getting a little fired up, more fired up than I wanted to, because I want to continue this conversation in a more enlightening fashion.
All right, give me a second, guys. I am going to take a mini break. I suggest you guys do too if you've been sitting for a while. Make sure to hit that like button. I will be right back. All right, let's go.
I have no need to release frustration and anger here because I think it's funny as fuck. But to continue, one of my issues, and I know you're friends with Dave. How many times have you seen him? Anytime somebody calls him out on any of the bullshit that he writes, what's his favorite response?
Oh, it's one of my favorites too. I learned from him. It's reading is your friend. Basically, read the full context and everything I wrote about it.
Yep.
And
Great saying.
It's a great saying. And again, it proves my point. Dave likes to when he hears something he doesn't want to hear, when people respond in a way that calls him out, he projects, well, you didn't read. Well, you're just not capable of understanding because I study this stuff. I'm a student.
I had to sit back and ask
Oh
myself,
my God.
am I going to take my career into my own hands? And
I have an insatiable desire to study the business of the wrestling business. And he's a fucking clown. But the minute you challenge him, he comes back at you with reading would be your friend. And then he cancels you and blocks you.
I need to get you guys together on a live, you know. We can show it on their channel.
That's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Controversy creates cash.
Never going to happen. No, never going to happen. I have way too much fun destroying his credibility to be distracted with his nonsense. So we'll stick to what we've got here. Now, Dave, as I said earlier, calls himself a journalist. I want to pull up the clip, and I forgot the numbers already, but the clip that suggested, Super Dave, that was posted today, that perhaps Dave Meltzer has equity in AEW. Can we take a look at that? This is not the one I was talking to, but this is a good one. Bischoff said the deal was fake recently. Hey, Dave.
MD, what's up? Has too much meow meow in his system. MD, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream.
Man the fuck up if it's possible and show me where I said that. Let's see a clip of that. When have I ever, Dave, said that the deal was fake? You lying piece of shit. Pull that back up there again. I'm not done having fun with this shit. What the fuck? As for the others, let me know when any of them said AEW was fixing to be profitable. Now he's from Alabama. He's fixing to do something. He's a journalist, you know. He's fixing to be profitable. Not second most profitable company in wrestling history. I know they wouldn't say that. Just wildly profitable with the next deal. Play me where they said that. Well, Dave, let's start out.
Even when Eric reads it, it doesn't even make sense. It really doesn't. How are they just widely profitable? How are you widely profitable? The only company in professional wrestling right now, and we're only talking about professional wrestling, the only widely profitable company, right, to use that phrase, is WWE. Widely profitable is basically like what WWE is. WWE is on a whole nother level when it comes to profitability and making deals and all this kind of stuff. But with this next deal, like, it sounds more like he knew something ahead of time, but like, you know, this is what we got.
Let's start out with you proving your point, salvaging what's left of your credibility, if there is any, and show me where I said the deal was fake. Otherwise, if you don't, Dave, you've been proven once again, I mean, this is getting ridiculous, to be a complete liar and a fraud. The same thing you accuse the people who criticize you of being, because you can't handle the pressure. Now, I want to get to the wildly profitable part. Nah, we're going to save that to the end because that's the good shit. There was another one, Dave, I think I sent to you this morning, where somebody on social media suggested that Brandon Thurston had recently pointed out that Dave Meltzer owned secretly 3% equity in AEW. Dave, do you have that clip, or am I imagining things?
No, I saw that.
Here it is. Now, I don't know Jim Anderson. He may just be some goof that's looking for credibility and attention, just like Dave. But and I'm not saying I believe this. In fact, I find it really hard to believe, and I responded accordingly. But I'm going to read it in case you're busy driving or working and you can't take the time to take a look at this. It says, "It was revealed to me this morning from a very reliable source in AEW that Dave Meltzer secretly," now this is in quotes, "that secretly owns a 3% stake in the company. An email was accidentally sent to Dave by a third party, hence revealing this information," unquote. And then it has Brandon Thurston, WrestleNomics.
Hey, Michael, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Brandon Butthurt Thurston
as the attributing source. Again, I don't believe any of the garbage that I read.
MD, that is 100%. Is this an interview? I wish I was interviewing Eric Bischoff, but no. We are watching Eric Bischoff talk about when he was live yesterday, which was he streamed it 22 hours ago, and it's Eric Bischoff live, AEW fans victory lap on Wise Choices. We're here talking about the AEW deal. So technically, no, it's not an interview, but I would love to interview Eric when he has the time. It'll be kind of cool to do that, but you are more than welcome to stay and tell me your thoughts about, you know, what Eric said during his live stream, anything that I add to it, and definitely my chat would definitely love to just chat with you. And MD, you're totally right. Tony Khan seems like the type of mark to give Dave Meltzer a 1 to 3% stake in AEW. That, like, I totally agree.
In social media, I don't believe any of the garbage that I see in mainstream news, let alone the cesspool that exists in social media, and particularly the depths of the cesspool with regard to professional wrestling. So it begs the question, though, because Dave, given his coverage and the fact that he positions himself as a journalist over and over, he'll tell you about all the awards he's won, that he speaks at colleges.
Mm-hmm.
He'll try so hard to defend his credibility as a journalist, yet
yes,
he says a lot of things that suggest that he's really just a cheerleader.
Yep.
So the fact that, and this is not just me, this is so many people that read his garbage on social media that are calling him out on this stuff. It forces me to ask the question, is it true? Dave, do you confirm or deny it? It's a simple yes or no. Doesn't need an explanation. Now, for the record, Brandon Thurston has come out and said he never said anything of the sort. And I have no reason to not believe Brandon Thurston. In fact, I enjoy his coverage. I find the information that he publishes. I don't listen to his YouTube show or his Patreon, or I don't listen to any of his audio stuff, but I do watch very closely his reporting on data and performance, because when I see it, I don't feel, hear, sense any emotion. I don't feel like he's advocating too much. He's just providing the information and letting the viewer come to their own conclusions. And I really appreciate that kind of coverage very much. But I don't know Brandon personally. Maybe there's a reason why Brandon would come out right away and deny ever saying that. Perhaps, and I know this is a stretch, people, and I don't even want to believe it myself. In fact, I'm not sure I do, but we're talking about not what's true and what's not true, but what may be true, what is possible. When you look at the way Dave covers AEW and is like over the top support and making excuses for them, and from day one, it begs the question, is there a chance there's more to the relationship between Tony Khan and Dave Meltzer than meets the eye?
And honestly, it took us like 5 years to like really see the pattern of like us asking that question, because it's like up and down, where Uncle Dave would definitely like praise AEW, and then sometimes he'll flip and be like, oh, these guys are like doing way too many flips or whatever the case, and then try to also praise AEW and all this kind of stuff. Like it's really out there. The pattern is out there. Like we're seeing this firsthand. And then anyway, we have brilliant people on Twitter that point this out, and I'm like, oh, I'm here, man. I got popcorn ready to go. I am here for all of this. But Eric is 100% right. Eric is totally right.
And then even if it's some goof that's trying to connect dots that don't exist, to throw out a number like 3%, it's a very small amount. It's more of a token gesture than it is anything else. It's like, oh, well, it sounds like stupid and it sounds like garbage social media shit, but maybe that explains the way Dave covers AEW. So it begs the question, could it be true? Now, like I said, I want to be very fucking clear. I don't believe it myself, but I do believe perhaps there's a remote possibility it's true, based primarily on the way Dave treats and covers AEW. Now, why would Brandon Thurston come out and deny it if he ever said it? Because if you receive information, proprietary confidential information, in an email or otherwise, that was not intended for you, and you disclose that information, you are civilly and potentially criminally liable. Meaning you get your ass sued off or maybe be looking at criminal penalties.
Yeah.
Now, usually when it comes to the criminal part, it's like if you're revealing medical information with regard to the HIPAA Act, it's a federal law that provides, absolute confidentiality when it comes to people's medical records and conditions and things like that. But it also includes trade secrets. Now, I know what I would do if I got an email that wasn't intended for me, but I saw something that made me go, holy shit, and I told somebody else, and then I found out, hey, man, you may be liable. I'd be denying that bitch all day long. That's not what I said. You misunderstood me. Now, I'm not saying that happened. I'm not saying I'm 100% convinced it didn't happen, but I'm mostly convinced it didn't happen. But it does beg the question, which leads me into the last part of this show. Dave, I think you should, not what I want, because you don't know me, fuck, you hate my guts as much as I hate yours, so that's not an issue. But I think you owe, because you positioned yourself as a journalist, you charge people $15 a month or whatever it is, based on your credibility as a journalist and the veracity of your reporting, your experience. You charge people money for that. So I think it would be fair of you to, number one, either confirm or deny that you own 3%. However ridiculous that story may sound, I think you owe it to the audience to confirm it or deny it so that it just goes away. Otherwise, there's going to be an open question every time you report something that sounds as bizarre as 90% of the stuff that you cover for AEW. The other thing, though, that I want to dig into much more substantively is Dave camping out so hard on the fact that this deal is going to make AEW profitable. In fact, he's camped out so hard in that clip that we saw earlier. Dave is asking for the other podcasters to prove that they too knew that this company was going to be profitable.
No.
How would Dave know that this deal is going to make AEW profitable? The only way Dave Meltzer would know that as a fact, as a journalist who's reporting a fact, not a speculation, it's been reported, it's been suggested, perhaps, hopefully, any other way that you could possibly phrase this to make it sound like an idea as opposed to a fact. But Dave is a journalist and he's stating a fact over and over and over again. So it begs the question, because that's what I'm doing now. I'm begging for questions. It begs the question, how do you know that, Dave? Do you have access to the complete financials? Because the only way you could possibly make a statement like that with any credibility at all is if you were looking at a P&L. For
Yeah.
most of you, that's a profit and loss statement that shows all your expenses against all your revenues in order to make a claim like that.
Well, hold on. I'm gonna pause it right there because I do want to just bring up the fact that you know, when that P&L sheet, even though it wasn't like from AEW specifically, but it was when they booked what in Nevada or like some state, and like AEW overpaid for like a lot of things. Like that right there could tell you that AEW pays for a lot of stuff and they don't even sort of like question like, why am I paying for this? Why am I paying for this? Why am I paying for this? And that's the first that something like that got out to the public, because we don't even hear that about WWE, about like, you know, whatever state that WWE goes to. We don't hear some type of report sheet of like, this is how much WWE spent, this is how much WWE lost in a way. So I wanted to bring that up about like AEW with the whole Nevada or like wherever they were, that thing came out.
Either Dave has access to those financials, and as a journalist, he won't share it because he's actually an agent of AEW in the literal sense. He's working for, he's a surrogate. He has information, he's not sharing it.
That would make a lot of sense.
Or he's making shit up. So let's assume, I'm going to give Dave the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume, because he is so adamant that this deal is going to make AEW profitable, let's ask a few questions about this deal that I believe Dave has visibility in. Whether he is a 3% minority owner or whether he's just buddies with Tony Khan, there's a reason why Dave keeps telling us this is going to make them profitable. In fact, he's even giving numbers. I think I saw something shortly ago as I was prepping to do this that Dave is suggesting. I think I could be wrong on this. I might be attributing it to Dave and it was from someone else, but I think it was from Dave, that in 2025, AEW is going to make $65 million in that range.
Something like that for like 2025.
The only way you'd be able to make a statement like that, even if you're a clown like Dave Meltzer, is if you have something in front of you that details how that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if Dave has access to that information and he's a journalist and he's charging people $15 a month, maybe, just a thought, tell us how you know that, Dave.
I would like to know
share
too.
Specific details down to the dollars and cents, but tell us how you know the fact that you're reporting, as opposed to just saying it. The other thing I'd like Dave to know, and here's a question I have, Dave. I'm assuming that you have visibility into all this. You reported the deal, 170, 150, 185, whatever the fuck. The number's moving all over the place. There might be a reason for that too. Which leads me to my question. How much of that deal, let's just say it's 185. That's what it was last time I saw it. How much of that is cash?
When Eric said this yesterday and I was watching, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think that like the money given could be a bunch of different things, while like the majority of it is going to be cash. But like, I didn't even think about like how much of it is cash.
Seen deals that have a total value of, let's say, $10, but only 5 of it is cash. The rest of it is goods and services. I'm using.
That's also another thing too that I didn't even think about, because even as a content creator, and this is why it goes back to being a content creator and a streamer, and if you have like, you know, a podcast show or something like that, and you want to run ads and you have a certain amount of like money going towards that ads, like it's the same kind of like mindset to be in. Like if you get a deal, a brand deal, let's say, and they're like, hey, we want deliverables, we'll charge you X amount of money for the deliverables. You know, you got to use that money to like do the ad for the video sometimes, you know. Yeah, it's the goods and services, man. Like everything is about goods and service. Not everything's about goods and services, but everything is about spending money.
Using $10 as an example because, well, not for our 83 weeks viewers, listeners, members, because you are a rare breed of people who are enlightened, which is why you're here. I'm talking about some of our guests who are here to defend Dave because they're out there. I'd like to, just a question. I'm not making a statement. I'm confused. I'm curious. I'm intellectually curious. And it's always been a challenge for me because when people say things definitively, I want to know why or how. So I'd like to know, Dave, as a journalist, you should be asking these questions. And so should other quote unquote journalists who show up at the media scrums and want to get a cookie and a pat on the head and a little bit of acknowledgement. I get it.
If I was at the media scrums, I would definitely be asking these questions. Yo, CP the trucker, what's up, man? Well, this is not an interview. One of these days I will have Eric on my show. But right now we're getting we're watching his live stream from yesterday and we're talking about it because I think it points out very, very good questions that we need to start asking about. And like Eric is right in his assessment. And then it opened my eyes to like all these questions. One of these days it'll be Eric and me. Who knows?
Get it. It's fun. But somebody should be asking questions like, of this $185 million deal, how much of it is cash? How much of it is, how do I refer to it as? Let's call it soft money, meaning value, but not cash. Now you would ask me, Eric, what do you mean by soft dollars? I mean like promotion. Warner Brothers Discovery has a tremendous inventory of commercial time. A lot of it goes unsold. And that's not just Warner Brothers Discovery. Every television network has it. They use that typically for what they call make goods, meaning if you sold $1 million worth of advertising to a client and you guaranteed them a certain amount of viewers, a cost per thousand per se. But based on the ratings of the show, perhaps you under-delivered. Well, then you give them additional commercials inside your commercial time for free, right? To make up for the loss. That commercial inventory, and every network has it, especially in today's environment. There's a lot of it out there. And a good portion of it is actually set aside for make goods every year because they know they're going to have to use it. But
this also goes back to when I was explaining to people how sponsorships work, that companies set aside a certain amount of money and that money has to be used by the end of the year. And sometimes that money can be allocated to like goods and services, to advertisement, to maybe paying some more people for like bonuses for like Christmas. But this isn't the 80s and the 90s where people got bonuses for Christmas. But, you know, again, Eric Bischoff is 100% right. And I think that my community also needs to listen to this. And even the people that come on my comments, don't think about that the wrong way. Please get your mind out of the gutter because that sounded wrong coming out of me. But you know what I mean. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to continue to say that Eric is 100% right about this AEW deal and asking these questions and knowing where money goes and whatnot. And the only reason why we're asking these questions is because Uncle Dave has decided to sort of lift a little bit more of the cap of like how we look at a company making money, because essentially AEW is still an LLC. If you don't know what an LLC is, it means that they are a limited liability company and they are a private company as well. So they do not give their earnings out like WWE. This is why we don't really have these kind of talks or these kind of questions when it comes to WWE, because WWE is a publicly traded company. Therefore, all of that stuff about money is on their website. It could be easily accessible. But with AEW, you have Uncle Dave here being the cheerleader, talking about money, talking about they're going to be profitable. And now we're sort of like wait a minute, how would you know? How are you so sure? Why are you all of a sudden attacking people and wanting other podcasters that are in the same sphere as Uncle Dave with the whole being in the bubble? Why do you want people to also say that it's going to be profitable? You do realize, internet world of the wrestling community, that the more people that you brainwash, the more that what Uncle Dave says and other people say, it's going to become true. And then it's gonna be very, very difficult to try and like undo the harm that Uncle Dave is starting to do now. And this is why we're asking the questions. Eric Bischoff has wonderful questions. And this guy, again, was on the front line on WCW with Ted Turner and being like, oh, okay, this is how you negotiate. This is how you close out a TV deal. And he knows all about this, but people want to discredit him. And when you discredit the source of the source that's been there, it does not matter if Eric Bischoff failed and like WCW is no longer here and like failed in other places. He's the source of the source that knows what he's talking about and asks the really good questions because he's been there. The reason I don't understand why people don't want to listen to him and want to listen to Uncle Dave, that have never left his house, that hasn't signed a wrestling contract to know how these things work. Stop listening to people on the internet that never signed a contract to the thing that we all love, which is professional wrestling, that never signed a contract to a company, but want to talk like they know. You could talk to a million TV executives, and a million TV executives can tell you a bunch of different things. Most of them will probably say the same thing, so you'll have the same answer. So therefore, it might be true. However, you could talk to a million TV executives and you will still not know the behind the scenes and the hands-on experiences of closing a deal, writing up a deal, talking to this person, being on the phone with that person, and doing a day-to-day average job of what TV executives do. Eric Bischoff was there. So why are we not listening to Eric Bischoff? Why are we not asking these questions? Why are nobody on the AEW side of media asking these questions? Why is it always people that want more intellectually, good conversations asking these questions, and then we never get the answer because they don't have the answer? Uncle Dave don't have the answer. And it's like, start listening to those that have been there, that have done the work. It does not matter if they failed or not. They were there, you weren't there. So listen to them.
That commercial time, even though it is unsold, unused inventory, has a value. It's called a rate card. And it's a question, not a statement. I have no visibility into anything. I'm just, because of the way Dave has handled this, and this has got nothing to do with Tony. I wish Tony nothing but the best. I got no dog in his hunt. Don't give a shit. Nothing Tony does is ever going to affect my life one way or the other. But I do like to challenge people who say stupid shit. And I think for Dave to come out and make these statements as fact while he's positioning himself as a journalist and charging people $15 a month for his information based on his credibility, I think that's fraudulent, when in fact he has no visibility and doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Or if he does, then I think he owes it to those people who he's been milking for the last 30 years to explain to us how he knows these things.
Right?
And I think Dave should ask the question of Tony Khan, of that $185 million or whatever the number is. Yay, they got a deal done. I'm happy for him. I really am. I'm having fun with it, but I am. Of that, how much of it, if any, because maybe it's not. Maybe it's all cash. Or maybe it's not. Is it 50 million in cash and other valuable considerations, other considerations of equal value? Is it or not? I'm just curious. I'm just somebody that was in the television business for a minute and really interested in how wrestling deals come together, particularly when you look at Dynamite and its poor performance and the fact that it's hemorrhaging and has been hemorrhaging audience for the last year and a half. Why AEW would value Dynamite and Collision and Rampage on the same level based on the the $185 million deal. They're putting it really, they're looking at it in terms of parity, the same way they would look at WWE. I don't get that. Dynamite has probably 30% of the audience of Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, whatever the percentage is. It's a small fraction, relatively speaking. Why would AEW pay a premium price for such a poor performing property? Perhaps they didn't. Perhaps that $185 million deal looks really exciting in a headline, but in fact isn't $185 million. Or maybe it is. I'd like to know. How about you all? Shouldn't somebody ask the question?
I'll ask it.
I think it'd be fun. So, Dave, you got all the participation trophies. Tried for 30 years to convince people you're a journalist. You tell every people at every opportunity that you're a student, that you study this business, and you have an insatiable desire to learn. How about it? You going to be a journalist and ask those questions? Are you going to confirm or deny that ridiculous report that I even have a hard time believing? Because there's so much garbage on social media, including yours, Dave. People are just following your lead. You've set the pace, so to speak. There's so much garbage out there. I think you owe it to your subscribers, those who pay $15 a month for your bullshit, to confirm or deny it. And I think you also owe your audience, because you're a journalist who charges people for your insight, to tell us how you know that AEW is going to be profitable in 2025. Because we're all curious, Dave. And you're the man. You're the man that can answer the question.
To be honest, even like scrolling on Twitter and like seeing that, I was like, why are you predicting? I guess it's a prediction, like I don't know, but like why would he even say that it's gonna be like 65 million in like 2025 be like profitable? Like what is that supposed to mean? Every single year we've always had this conversation somewhere like on Twitter that like they made X amount of money and this and that. I honestly think that AEW breaks even. I don't think that AEW turns a profit at all. Every time like the pay-per-view buys come in or that they do this $1 million gate, like I think they break even. I don't even think they make a profit. We can ask all the live long day AEW and Warner Bros. Discovery will never ever give the full details. If AEW ever goes to be a public traded company, then we would get those details. Someone's going to have to force them to become a public traded company in order to do it. The same way that they forced WWE to become a public traded company.
And thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I know this is probably a little uncomfortable for you, but you know, come on, it's fun. You got to make. Okay,
so that was the end of that. Clap it up for like us listening to Eric in the chat. But yeah, Eric is 100% right. And I wanted to watch it to give further details because I was even watching it and I was like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. And that kind of stuff just blends in with being a content creator, with investing in yourself and like knowing how to take brand deals versus not taking brand deals and, you know, contracts and whatnot. And like, is the money that you're getting from someone being used to pay you, and or like the goods and services of like that brand and the person you're working with, because it's all business deals. And Eric knows what he's talking about. And I thought that was a very amazing question to even ask and put it out there on the internet. And I wanted my community to know about it more, about like how much of that AEW deal, whether it is 150 million to 185 million, how much of that deal is cash. Because again, we have big wrestlers such as Will Ospreay and Mercedes Moné, and I would like to know how true it is that they're getting paid a very lucrative, big ass contract. I will definitely love to know how much they're getting paid, and if that new deal is going to cover their salaries. Is that new deal going to cover the Young Bucks salaries? Or is it just still coming out of Tony Khan's pocket? Is it still coming out of Shad Khan's inheritance money that he gave to his son? Like, where is this money coming from if it's not going to be from the deal to pay the wrestlers that are getting overpaid for doing the bare fucking minimum in the professional wrestling world? They're whatever, like what they're doing on AEW is not really worth what they're getting paid in, because they make all this merchandise. We don't hear nothing about who's moving merchandise. They sell these tickets, but they're having trouble sell the tickets, and not even their name can sell the tickets, you know? And I know people don't want to talk about any of that, but at the same time, it's like you really have to take that into consideration, because it's been kind of weird that they've been on TV for 5 years and they really haven't delivered as much as they should have, because Tony Khan has the resources. If Tony Khan has all the money in the world, let's just say, and if Tony Khan is using his inheritance money, he has the resources to make the product as great, if not greater, than WWE. But no, fans want to be like, oh, it's perfect the way it is. No, it's not. AEW is not perfect the way it is. AEW, you know, is struggling. If anything, if we overlook WWE's like baggage shit that like they have with them, WWE is perfect. They have the money, they have the sales, they got the merchandise sales, they have sellouts in various states. WWE is perfect. AEW is struggling. Like, we need to ask questions about why AEW is struggling, so that way they can get better. This is all about getting better, and we have all these questions. But yes, I would definitely ask Tony Khan, like, how much is that is cash? Will that be able to pay off the big wrestlers that you have that like do the bare minimum? The last thing that I want to talk about is this Kenny Omega and Tanahashi team up, and I'm like, man, I don't know how to feel about it. And honestly, I cannot play the video, because New Japan Pro Wrestling will strike me down and strike down this live stream. So I cannot play that video. But I will say that, you know what, can I show the by the way, I don't know who told New Japan Pro Wrestling to move all of their articles off, not arf. I'm not like barking like a dog, like arf. I don't know who told New Japan Pro Wrestling to move all of their articles off of njpw1972.com to medium.com. Guys, I no longer have a Medium account. I deleted my Medium account. I will not be getting a Medium account back. Like, why did you guys move the articles? Why does New Japan Pro Wrestling make it harder for wrestling fans, you know, to basically enjoy New Japan Pro Wrestling? Why? It makes no sense. I don't know why they moved it to freaking Medium. I do know that you can make money off of Medium, but you're going to have to hit a certain amount of views and like readerships in order to like make money off of Medium. And maybe they saw that they could do that. However, it's like, man, anyway, I can show the article. Oh wait, they make money off of the claps or something like that. I forgot how it goes, but Medium is not worth it. I don't know why you guys decided to like get Medium for what. Anyway, So this is the article, right? I could show the article. Hey, Wrestling Soup, what's up? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. So I still say that the partnership between AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling is the worst. MD, how did we get to strippers, MD? What did I miss? Strippers make money from the clap. Oh my god. Oh, MD. I was like, where the hell are we getting strippers from? But I get it. Listen, Medium has claps, so I guess everybody who writes on Medium are strippers. Kenny Omega getting sick was one of the best things that could have happened to him. If he was in AEW right now, his legacy would be shot. I guess, man. Like, I don't know. I don't want to use the sickness thing to, like, you know, dunk on him or anything, but I can see that from a different perspective, from like a 1% perspective. I get that. Anyway, so I still believe that the partnership between New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW is still shit. It's still shit. And it's like, isn't Tanahashi supposed to be focusing on creating the new talent, the new generation? But here we go with like Ace and Omega reunite ahead of Tokyo Dome. Tokyo Dome is in January. And then after Tokyo Dome, which has Wrestle Kingdom, we're going to have Wrestle Dynasty, which takes the place of, I guess, New Year's Dash. So fucking stupid. It really is. It bothers me, okay? It bothers me. So Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kenny Omega together after Wrestle Kingdom 13 Clash. So we cannot watch the video on YouTube because, like I said, New Japan will strike me down. So this is what's happening. On January 5th, 2025, AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, together with CMLL, Stardom, and Ring of Honor, are all under the same Tokyo Dome roof for Wrestle Dynasty. You're gonna be having like a 16 card match, and like people are gonna get bored. My question is, do we need this reunion between Kenny Omega and Tanahashi? I don't think we do. We don't need this reunion, but we have this reunion because Kenny Omega is still recovering. So what do you do as a wrestler? You create a tag team. Yo, we all want that, dude. We all want that. Okay, so Omega over here looks like he doesn't age, and that's because of like makeup and like hair and, dyeing his beard and shit. He didn't look like that before. He's going through like a Comic-Con not looking like that. So like, I don't know. This is what I hate, is that Kenny Omega is reflecting on this and reflecting on the time that he had in New Japan Pro Wrestling and reflecting on, battling Tanahashi, where he says, time goes by so fast. Omega reflected on his absence from the New Japan fold. I was driven out of New Japan Pro Wrestling, but at the same time, AEW was born in that. So it's happy, sad. You just take out details. You just take out details, man. Take out details. But it's one of those of like, I don't mind nostalgia, right? I don't mind nostalgia when it's done right. This is not nostalgia done right. This is just like, yo, we're going back in time. Like, oh, you're trying to create new stars. You're trying to create new stories. Nah, fuck that. Like, I'm Kenny Omega. I'm going to team up with Tanahashi. Let's go fight the Young Bucks. And I'm jumping ahead. But, it's one of those like, bro, like, you got sick. Like, it's okay if you retire. It's okay if you, stay home for a bit. It's totally fine, man. Like, no one's going to think anything less of you. He goes on to say that, We wrestled once before for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. I won less than cleanly, but I wanted to win a belt come what may. You know, after all these years, even though I don't know if I'm still a Kenny Omega fan, but Kenny Omega tries to be Shakespeare so bad that I'm just like, bro, you got to stop it. In the Tokyo Dome, it was about wanting to really test myself against the ace of professional wrestling on the biggest stage in pro wrestling. And then, you know, Kenny Omega with his promo of, I was stronger, faster, more athletic. So why did I lose? It was a passion that Tanahashi had his heart. First of all, it was about politics. It was about backstage politics. That's why you lost. That loss was important for me to learn from. More than disappointed by that loss, I'm grateful for it. Really? You still do the same shit. I don't know how you're grateful for that loss when you and Tanahashi have two different thought patterns when it comes to like classical style wrestling, which is like traditional style wrestling, and you just go balls to the wall. You know, like I don't know. But this whole entire article does not really get me hyped for anything. Like, they talk about his illness, Kenny Omega saying that if they cleared him tomorrow, that he'll be back in the ring. There's a lot that he doesn't know right now, but he'd absolutely love to be on a stage like Wrestle Dynasty. But it's like, bro, why are you trying to fit yourself into Wrestle Dynasty? I understand it's the first ever like Wrestle Dynasty in the Tokyo Dome, but it's sort of like New Japan is supposed to be making new wrestlers. Kenny look like aged milk. Yes, he does. CMLL Cool MD. Stop that. It already sounds bloated and stressful, and they haven't announced any matches yet. Yes, it does. Nostalgia is a cornerstone of Money Lady. It is. And like I said, I like good nostalgia. Driven out of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and why was that, sir? That's why I said backstage politics. They blew up Dory last month. I think I'll think less of him, but not for those reasons. Hey, wrestling. Okay, how are you? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I think he's trying to talk in kayfabe. He is, man. He is trying to talk in kayfabe. This whole entire article is about kayfabe, is about trying to rally the fans to be excited for Wrestle Dynasty. But it's like, bro, stop it. Stop it right now. It's not hitting. Yeah, okay, cool. Nothing gets me hype anymore. I feel like, and oh my God, MD. Anyway, back to the article. So yeah, like I get that Wrestle Dynasty is like a one-time thing and they're testing this out, but dude, like, so this was admitted by Omega in response to Tanahashi's appeal to New Japan Pro Wrestling's younger generation that he hopes Kenny can experience for himself. Listen, every wrestler has their like generation of fans. If New Japan Pro Wrestling has a younger generation, put the younger stars in there. And then this whole paragraph here, man, like he's just picking out certain things that I'm like, bro, like why? How does this help? He says that this is Kenny Omega. I made my Japanese debut in DDT and was satisfied then with being in Shinkiba first ring. From there, I made steady steps and bigger goals for myself. From there, I wanted to be in New Japan Pro Wrestling, be in Best of the Super Juniors, then the G1, then be a champion than being in the biggest stage in the Tokyo Dome. Now there are people who will be in the Dome for the first time that have never been in Japan, and I'm so happy for them. Well, why do you want a spot? If you're going to say that now there are people who will be in the Dome for the very first time and you're happy for them, why do you want a spot on there? Especially the AEW women and the Stardom wrestlers. Whenever I found it hard to be motivated by wrestling, I drew a lot of inspiration from Japanese women's wrestling, and I'm excited to see them get back on the Tokyo Dome stage. That, I don't know, I find that a little weird. Just a tiny bit. Tiny bit. Like, really? Like, okay. And then this here with both Omega and Tanahashi have had their issues in 2024 with Kenny's former partners in the Elite. Tanahashi, not too much. I mean, if we want to do like backstage politics, maybe, but like Tanahashi and like the Elite, like, I don't know, man. The Young Bucks and Okada were part of an attack on Omega that sent him out of AEW television on a stretcher, while Tanahashi, along with the Acclaim, fell to the Elite during the Forbidden Door this year. Like, you know? And then here's the thing. Could Wrestle Dynasty be the site of a wrestling executive tag team teaming up with the Young Bucks? Why? Kenny wants to face the Bucks. And then Kenny talks about the first time that he faced the first time Tanahashi and I wrestled, it was for the belt. And then in 2019, it was a lot on the line for both of us. You got kicked out, buddy. Now, with the two of them aligned, next time they wrestle, they're going to do it together. This is all kayfabe that I'm just like, bro, like, I don't know, man. And then, you know, Tanahashi is like, yo, I know he's going to get into like, you know, shape, and he has to get into Kenny shape. But the road to Wrestle Dynasty certainly sees some impressive possibilities. Chat, do we want this? Because I don't want this. Marvin having a watch party. Yeah, Marvin is having a watch party. Yeah, we know he loves Joshi women. Yeah. But seriously, do we want this? Like, why? This doesn't get nobody hyped. We're having the tag team with Tanahashi and Kenny Omega possibly happening for Wrestle Dynasty to like face the Young Bucks. Like, why? I understand it's to give the audience an experience that they may not see again, but again, Tanahashi was like, yo, I have this 10-point program. We got to do something about the younger generation. And like, nobody's calling their shot yet. But yet here comes Kenny Omega and EVP calling his shot when he's not fully cleared, even though we have until January 5th to see what he does. And it's like, man, why? Why? And then Tanahashi over here, it's like, bro, you have a company to run. You have wrestlers that are on the injury list. You have stars that went over to AEW, and you're still wrestling and you're still going out there. And I understand you're making connections and doing whatever you gotta do, but what are the younger wrestlers doing? I watched Destruction and Kobe, and I'm like, yo, it feels so off. How do you have Hinari lose the damn never openweight championship title to Shingo? You know, if anything, if Hinari lost it to Hiromu, I'll be fine with that. I love Shingo, by the way. I love Shingo. I respect Shingo. I would love to like meet Shingo. But like, man, if this belt is gonna be hot potato, then what the fuck? Give, you know, Hinari a chance against David Finlay for the Global Heavyweight Championship title. I love what like Clark Connors is doing and making opportunities out of everything. The same thing with Dan Maloney, making opportunities out of everything. Gabriel Kidd making opportunities out of everything. But everybody else just seems to be like going through the motions and like just being there, having the matches and whatnot. And it's like, I thought Tanahashi was supposed to be working on his plan, working on the company's plan, but like I don't see a difference. I don't feel a difference. Everything feels so like disconnected, and that might be because like I no longer have the capability or the means to like get the membership back for New Japan World. But for the most part, it's like it feels like they're just going through the motions. They need to have like a really company sit down and be like, yo, we got to talk about this. How do we do this? How do we do that? The first thing they need to do is break away from AEW. WWE, TNA, and Noah are being prosperous right now. And also Marigold are being prosperous right now under the WWE banner. New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW are not being prosperous under their partnership. It's not happening. And it's sad because there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of story to be told. If you guys don't know, recently on Twitter, Gabriel Kidd and Tama Tonga exchanged words. And I'm like, I'm here for that conversation. There's also like another thing I want to talk about, but we could do that like tomorrow. And that was to talk about Will Ospreay's tweet about his match against Ricochet. And I'm still thinking about like reacting to Ospreay versus Ricochet and have that like behind a paywall. Because if not, Don Stevens will come for me and will come for the channel. And I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to put that in jeopardy. But just for me to do a tape study and react to it. But Ospreay put out a tweet and I'm like, bro, you guys are never going to change. Even though they listen to the good and bad critiques, they're not changing. They're not all of a sudden going to sell, and do psychology and like make the stuff mean something. That's not going to fucking happen. So it's like, dude, you got to stop lying. Like AEW PR was working overtime for that tweet. But other than that, like, is anybody interested in a tag team of Tanahashi and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks? Like, I'm not. I'm really, really not. And for those that are going to be watching this on the VOD, you guys could comment on there too, because it will be very, very interesting to hear what you have to say. Just so you guys know, tomorrow I should be live streaming. We'll see what happens. If not, on Tuesday we'll come back with our regularly scheduled programming and we'll watch some wrestling interviews and stuff like that. So we'll do that. We'll talk about it. But I do miss you guys. I miss you guys so much. And MD says he's not interested in anything regarding the Young Bucks. Like it's really bad. So with that being said, my lovely thumbnail is amazing. With that being said, I'm going to be wrapping things up. We did a wonderful 2 hours and 50 minutes. And I have some stuff to do later on by like, running some errands and going to the supermarket because tonight I am having crunch wraps because I can make crunch wraps now. I'll post pictures in my Discord and stuff. But chat is currently talking to me. So G Coalition says this conversation should be about Yota Tsuji and Ricky Starks with main event momentum teaming up against Swerve Strickland and Tama Tonga, but that would require 7 years of better decision making. That's interesting. The Young Bucks are the wet fart of the tag team game. MD. Vortex, you are very, very, very welcome. The Young Bucks are the wet socks of the tag team wrestling. MD. Yeah, we do. Yeah, now we got Bad Blood. Yep. Bad Blood is later on tonight. I think right now is like the pre-show. Bad Blood starts at a very, 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 very special time at 6 p.m. Eastern time and whatever, 3 p.m. Pacific time over in Cali. With that being said, I will be watching Bad Blood. We can talk about Bad Blood tomorrow. And then, we'll have some fun. I don't know what the fun is yet. But Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to a live stream. Apologies for missing the regular days that I stream, but thank you for being here. Thank you for letting me vent a little bit, rant. I'm going to say rant a little bit about content creators and small streamers. Do not believe the quote unquote decent sized to well-sized streamers that end up sounding very, 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 very disingenuous about, like, you know, how to be a small streamer or a content creator. Like, you got to believe in yourself first, because if you don't believe in yourself first, no one else is going to believe in you, and no one is going to know that you exist until you start making some noise, and respectful noise, not no stupid ass noise. None of that. Respectful noise. So thank you for letting me speak on that for a little bit, and I hope that if you take my advice, you take my advice. If you don't, that's awesome too. It doesn't really matter to me. Thank you for chatting with me and listening to me a little bit of Eric Bischoff. I'll let Eric Bischoff know that you guys wanted him on my stream, on my channel to chat. Because, man, like, Eric Bischoff makes you think, man. Like, we all want intellectual conversations. Like, we really, really do. But social media has turned people's brains to fucking mush. Like, you can't even read between lines. It has to be like this or that, and that's it. Like, you got to pick a side. Like, no, there's always a middle ground. There's always a gray area. Like, we are all complex creatures. The same way that situations and conversations are complex, creatures and complex stuff. But I love saying with all due respect. So thank you for that. Like I said, I'll let Eric know. And this Tanahashi and Kenny Omega thing, like, I don't really want that for Wrestle Dynasty. I couldn't think of any other news topics to, like, talk about and really get into. If you guys want to send me it, like, my Discord is available. I'll drop it in chat just in case if people, like, want to join. It's up to you. But yeah, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in so much. If you have not, bold of you to assume my brain wasn't already mush. Yes, definitely. It definitely bold of me. Definitely. I would take that. If you have not hit that like button right here on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast, please hit that like button. It helps out the stream, even though I am ending the stream and I am constantly talking. But I do appreciate each and every one of you guys. We are getting closer and closer to the YouTube Partner Program. We're currently, again, at 1848 hours of watch time. We need 3,000 watch time hours, and we're gonna get there thanks to each and every one of you guys. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening and watching a live stream production of the Square Circle Podcast, where your host, me, Marie Shadows, reacts to various news and videos and all that good stuff right here on youtube.com/Square Circle Podcast. And I'll see you guys on the next one.